Howdy everybody and welcome back to the Saint Willy channel once again. And today we're talking about something that's a little bit more par for the course for one of my videos. Oh come on, you read the title. We're talking about Plants vs. Zombies! The zombies are coming. Yes, you guys probably remember the game Plants vs. Zombies. I played that game on an app on my first iPhone when I was like a little kid. For those of you unfamiliar, it's kind of like a tower defense game where it's like you set up these rows of plants to defend from a never-ending wave of zombies just to see how long you can last. It's basically the same thing as like Bloons Tower Defense, if you ever played that, like on coolmathgames.com when you were in school. I know I did because I'd be playing that, then I would just have the surge of adrenaline shoot through me when a teacher would place their hand on my shoulder and be like, I need you to log off right now for me, son. But anyway, yeah, super fun game. It's like a core memory of mine. I haven't played it in years and years. I think the last one I played was Plants vs. Zombies 2. I never got into like the whole garden warfare and the different varieties of, you know, games they had, kind of like Clash of Clans, had Clash Royale and all that. I never really got into it. Do people even still play Plants vs. Zombies? Like I'm serious. Does anyone actually, like in the year of our Lord, 2025, does anyone actually still play Plants vs. Zombies? Let me know in the comments below. Okay, and also tell me what your favorite game of the series is. I would love to know. But anyway, as the title suggests, someone decided to make a horror comic based off Plants vs. Zombies. I believe the channel is called JHG Comics, and it is in Spanish, so I'm gonna have to do like a little bit of translation, and there's like not anything for me to like dramatically read. It's mostly just like videos based off the little comic that he made, so I'm basically just gonna give like a series breakdown, like my reactions to like the videos. Like that's basically what I'm pretty much gonna be doing. But the series is called Through the Eyes of Plants, and basically it's kind of like, oh, this is the story of Plants vs. Zombies, and it's more dark and twisted, and it's from the perspective of the plant instead of Crazy Dave. I believe the series so far has like 8 parts to it, and also a song he made that's in Spanish, so I'm not gonna go over the whole song, but I'll bring it up. but even with that, be sure to go and support the original creator like always, and without further ado, let's get into Through the Eyes of Plants. So the series opens with Crazy Dave kind of just sitting there chilling, you know, sipping his cup of joe, reading the newspaper. It's all bright and sunshine and rainbows. Life is all cookies and cream. And then we see a little cute pea shooter plant he has planted outside of his house. And then everything gets all dark and foreboding, kind of like the series entails, where we see this war going on between the plants and the zombies right outside Crazy Dave's house. And this shit is dark. I'm telling you right now, man. It's like straight All Quiet on the Western Front levels of gritty. Like I'm telling you, man, it's brutal. This pea shooter plant is witnessing all his friends being butchered. Like we see the squash like doing his signature little stomp, like move, like the center block from Mario, and we see like another pea shooter plant get his goddamn face ripped off. It is like so brutal for a Plants vs. Zombies comic. And then all of a sudden everything cuts back to sunshine and rainbows, and Dave gives like a real goofy ass like thumbs up from the inside, like, you're doing great, honey. Like he's just about to pick up his kids from soccer practice. It's so, that's funny. But obviously, you know, that doesn't last long, and it cuts back to, you know, the massacre that's going on outside. And after everything's said and done, the lone pea shooter is like, well, the last one left. He's the sole survivor. And we see like the bag of money being dropped, like because he survived the round and like he, you know, quote unquote won. Yeah, the plants are basically out here living World War I, like trench warfare every goddamn day. And that is the premise of the series. And we will discover more details about the, you know, background characters and things that are off screen as we go along. And then at the end we see Dave, I'm assuming, making more like GMO plants in like his damn garage, and then the video kind of ends, and then we go on to the next part of the series. Yeah, RFK Jr. wouldn't like these plants. They're giving the plants vaccines and making everyone have autism. So part 2 focuses on Scaredy Shroom as like the main protagonist and his perspective this time, and he's obviously like shaking. He's shaking his fungus pants right now because he's, you know, waiting the zombies to show up, and then he looks over to like the lamppost plant that I forgot the name of. And then we see like the zombies smash the post's face in before we have the horde, you know, show up and the battle starts. And Scaredy Shroom is just firing on all cylinders, like rapidly spraying everywhere. And then we get like the Minecraft miner zombie pop out of the ground and attack one of the shroom plants. And then we get the most horrifying, creepy zombie that has ever been in Plants vs. Zombies, and it's the Jack-in-the-Box zombie. I stand by that. I hate those damn things. Anyway, yeah, he shows up. But then at first I think that, oh, the pea shooter plant comes in clutch because he shoots the zombie's head off. But then, obviously, he drops the Jack-in-the-Box next to Scaredy Shroom, and it blows up, like straight IEDs him. And then we see a strange shadowy figure come across Pea Shooter, and then the second part kind of ends, and then we can go on to part 3. So the third part opens with a zombie like eating a shroom before he's like dragged under the water in a pool by Tangle Kelp, and might I say Tangle Kelp looks creepy and horrifying in this, like a straight like swamp thing. And he tries to hold all these zombies under the water, but obviously they manage to break through and resurface from the pool. But then we get more inside of like Crazy Dave's garage, and we see a pea shooter plant like climb out of his pod. And on the wall, it's like, basically it's like a big reference to like, I think it's like Plants vs. Zombies fusions. And it's just like a cool little like Easter egg to that on there, which is exactly what happens. We see other plants are in the garage. We see all these weird mad scientist abominations. Like the plant in the middle reminded me of the movie Basket Case. I know it's kind of an obscure reference, but you know, it just reminded me of that. There's one like unknown plant creature has like a tarp over it that we can't see yet, but it's just funny seeing all like the plants in the garage all depressed and malnourished looking, and they're all like, "Oh, this is Dave's sex garage. Kill me. Kill me." So the next part, like part 4, it starts off like on the roof of the house with like this weird glowing light ominously, you know, illuminating the top. In this part, we're now from the perspective of Colonel Pult, which is like, you know, another plant in Plants vs. Zombies. And it turns out the weird glowing light is Zomboss, and he is like fighting the plants, and there's like a, you know, they're all trying to fight him, and then we have like one of those like weird little hangman zombies that snatches up Melon Pult, and he, you know, kills him. And then all the plants are like fighting Zomboss, and he's getting his ass kicked, right? And then he's like, well, I'm gonna try a fireball, and that doesn't work because Ice Shroom just, you know, completely just, you know, freezes his ass and stops him. And then in a last ditch effort, because he's a sore loser, he like basically crushes Colonel Pult, which, you know, RIP my boy. And like in the next scene, like the artist's depiction of him is like, he reminds me of the giant robots from the Origins like zombie map from like Black Ops 2. And that's how the part ends, and it reminded me of that. I thought it was like kind of cool. But so part 5 has the funniest opening out of all the parts, and it's a pea shooter hero like nailed to a cross, like he's crucified, like Caesar's Legion got him, and he's like, that's how it opens. And then we pans ominously to the top of a hill and with a shadowy figure, and we see Super Brains, who's like the, you know, the superhero looking zombie, and he tears a plant in half like he's goddamn Omni-Man, and it's really brutal, and he does it all in front of Sunflower. And, you know, before that happens, Chomper shows up and like kills Super Brains and eats him, and then it's like Zomboss shows up and smashes him like he's the Iron Giant, and it's really brutal. And finally, we're able to go back to where all the real action is, Dave's garage. Dave's sex garage. So I'm assuming Sunflower got like captured and taken back to this like garage, I'm assuming is what happened, because like we see Dave, but he looks all ominous and shadowy looking, and he injects this weird like ooze inside of Sunflower, and she starts growing like human limbs and like looks more humanoid looking, which I've seen fan art of like Sunflower, like a Sunflower girl looking that way, and we don't want to talk about that. But then we see like this Shadow Dave like leave, and it's revealed that like he's Zomboss, maybe? Question mark. So then it cuts back to like the present day with like the pea shooter in the garage from like part 3. So yeah, it's revealed that like part 5 basically took place before like part 3. So we come back to the present day where Sunflower was actually revealed to be the one who was locked in that cage that pea shooter found. And the whole thing basically implies that Dave, or at least someone who looks like Dave, we don't really know yet, is trying to make these super like plant hybrids and is doing all these weird like experiments. And that's basically like what the whole thing implies with like the garage. And just as we're supposed to come to that conclusion, the garage door opens, and we see these ominous white eyes peering through the darkness, and then a pea narrowly misses Sunflower's head, and it's all really suspenseful, and the part ends. So part 6 opens with like a post-apocalyptic, like Dark Souls 3 looking battlefield with a trio of pea shooters, like, you know, scouting around, before we get like a foot soldier zombie that, you know, appears out of nowhere and kills 2 of the pea shooters. And before he can kill the final third one, a chili bean bomb like explodes in his face. And just as the final pea shooter plant's like, yippee, I survived, it like cuts to static, and then it's like we see this huge pile of dead plant bodies on like an operating table, and we see what I assume to be Zomboss because of the lab coat. He's like banging his head against a wall, like stupid, I can't make the perfect plant hybrid, dude. You know, he's just having like a schizo episode before he like randomly kills a nearby zombie that's in his lab, and he's like has the bright idea to be like, oh, I'm gonna like take a zombie body and I'm gonna put a plant on its head, like like looking like C-3PO and like Attack of the Clones. He's in like body swap like that just to, I don't know. He's just doing weird experiments, I guess, to try to beat Dave's plans. And after that's all revealed, it cuts back to the end of like part 5, where all the, you know, zombie and plant hybrids are attacking Sunflower and the lone pea shooter, and we have this big scuffle, and you know, they have the zombie pea shooter head and like a zombie squash. They're all attacking and they're trying to fight for their lives to get out, before eventually like a zombie chili pepper hybrid like grabs onto Sunflower and like goddamn Luke Skywalker's her arm, and like he explodes. So pea shooter and Sunflower like narrowly survive the explosion. She's just like missing an arm now, which, I mean, she's a plant. She can probably like grow. Like, she just grew those limbs. I'm sure she can get another one. But just when they think they're safe, like the zombie pea shooter steps out of the flames and shoots Sunflower down and is about to like finish her off as like a, you know, like a Mortal Kombat finisher. But then he accidentally steps on like the residue of one of the shroom plants and sees like a flashback, like a Vietnam War flashback, and he remembers that he was the pea shooter plant from part 1 who witnessed, you know, the massacre of all his friends. And it's kind of sad, and he comes to his senses basically. But just like that, the part ends. And even though all these parts are like pretty short, it's like it provides just enough to tell us a story, and it's kind of cool. But we only have like a couple parts left, so let's keep going. Oh yeah, I forgot. The second to last part is the song, the song that JG Comics made. And of course, it's in Spanish because, you know, he's a Spanish speaker, and all the, you know, titles are in Spanish. It's so soulful for a comic about Plants vs. Zombies, and it's very like, I didn't translate the whole thing, but I listened to like pretty much all of it, and it's just very soulful and like sad for, you know, what it's based on. I just thought it was kind of funny. Listen to the song yourself because, you know, he put all the effort in to make it. I'm just gonna tell you the story elements that I took away from it. So like the biggest bombshell the song kind of drops is that turns out Crazy Dave and Zomboss are just two insane people who are just battling for fun, for, you know, arrogance. That part I'm not sure about. But the craziest part is that the zombies apparently aren't really zombies. They're like people with zombie skin grafts and outfits on. And it's like, what? So apparently they're just normal looking dudes underneath all the zombie skin and flesh, and there's like genetically like altered and experimented on by Zomboss. And I'm just like, what? This is like some body horror stuff. This is like straight Human Centipede level stuff with animation that's featured in the song. It's insane. It's wild. I'm like listening to it like there's no way. There's no way this is happening right now. So basically, from what I'm gathering, that JG Comics is trying to say is that the whole thing is like a metaphor of real life war and warfare in general, of how the leaders of opposing forces are basically the puppet masters in a game that just causes the suffering of regular people and their troops. And that's blew my mind, because like there's no way a Plants vs. Zombies comic is going this deep with it. There's just no way. Like, there's just no way. But that does appear to be the message that I'm taking away from that. So, like, crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. It's also cool seeing the changes and like shifts in the perspective, because obviously in part 1 we see Crazy Dave's perspective. He just sees like the colorful plants and it's all fun and happy, and then we see the plant's perspective. And then also we see this one, the zombies' perspective of the plants killing them. Like, it's just surprisingly deep and layered for a fan-made comic series about Plants vs. Zombies, and I thought that was pretty cool. So part A is kind of like a small recap of what we've seen so far already, but we do see a scene where Crazy Dave pulls up to Zomboss's crib with a shovel and then leather faces him. He like cuts off his face like with a shovel, like hits him with it. And that's why we saw Zomboss with like all these bandages around him earlier in the previous times we've seen him. And I'm like, yo, that's kind of gnarly. That's kind of gnarly, man. Now with the whole glowing purple eyes from Dave, I'm not sure if this is trying to imply that Dave is like somehow himself evil, or it's like he's possessed by something. That I'm not really sure, and the part doesn't really give us answers to that. Spoilers. At least I don't think so, so let's keep going. But then we got to Sunflower and the lone pea shooter wandering around the destroyed city before they come across a body with his head blown off with a message written in blood that says, I believe it translates to, that living dead man wears a mask. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's the translation I got when I was doing it. So, but then we start seeing Sunflower start to regrow her limb, but then it starts turning back into normal like plant appendages, which is kind of strange. Maybe that serum that Dave gave her is starting to wear off. We then see a lone zombie looking at them down the street before he kind of just starts to wander off and run away. But this quiet scene is interrupted by a giga football zombie ramming through a stone wall like he's the Kool-Aid Man, and he turns around looking like a horrifying version of Raider Dave. So Sunflower and Pea Shooter, obviously, they're going to be forced to run away and have to deal with this. But then it pans to like a really sad, melancholy scene with the Pea Shooter zombie wandering the streets. But his contemplation is interrupted by crazy Dave, who pulls up in a giant like mech machine, and then the part just kind of ends before we segue into the final part of Through the Eyes of Plants as it is today, Part 9. Let's go. So Part 9 is kind of like the penultimate entry in the series, which I'm glad it just dropped as I'm recording this like 5 days ago or so, because it reveals like the big secret that the whole series has been revolving around. And apparently it's revealed that the hypnoshroom is the reason that all of these weird experiments and escalations have been going on, because on one of the many normal days that the zombies was attacking the homestead of Dave, hypnoshroom basically just got fed up and had enough of these goddamn zombies and Dave's, lackadaisical approach to protecting them, that he basically stuck into Dave's room when he was asleep and took over his mind. And he's the one who attacked Zomboss straight up and like chopped off his face and like leather-faced him, and also started running all these weird experiments on the other plants. Now, why he was doing that, I don't really know. Maybe it was as a way to escalate the war or make stronger plants or zombies or just have an army of his own. I'm not really sure, but anyway. So yes, hypnoshroom is the one who pulled up on the pea shooter zombie, and he gets his little, Ben 10 alien force looking pea shooters to grab him and start ripping his limbs off, and they straight up Anakin Skywalker him. Like, it's pretty brutal. By the way, hypnoshroom is like a sick fuck. He's like really happy with himself about ripping off, pea shooter's limbs. It's kind of messed up. But then it gets back to Sunflower and the lone pea shooter fighting against like the Giga zombie, and Sunflower like continues to kind of, evolve and have her limbs shrink, but then she like breathes fire directly into his face. And obviously, that doesn't kill him. That just, makes him angrier. And that's kind of how the series ends until we have like one little clip of Zomboss, like the little big giant mech zombie at the end. And that's pretty much the entire series as it stands right now. And there you have it, everybody. That is Through the Eyes of Plants as it is today. And this series is still ongoing. Go and subscribe to JHD Comics and eagerly wait for an update on the comic. Something I also found out when I was like kind of going over this again was like, apparently there is a collaboration he's doing with another YouTuber called VrictoPlays. And he has like a Through the Eyes of Zombies like series. I guess it's like technically like a canon offshoot series, I think. I'm not really sure about that. It just something I noticed that you guys might want to check out if you're just craving more Plants vs. Zombies horror entertainment, I guess. Well, guys, I hope I did a pretty good synopsis of that, because that's pretty much like the series as it is right now. Now, I guess that pretty much answers the question of, was the Crazy Dave the one doing the experiments? And yes, but hypnoshroom was controlling him the entire time, or at least ever since after part 1. But yeah, dude, there was a lot of twists and turns in this, okay? Whenever I talk about one of these like alternate universes or infection AUs or like just any AU or horror comic in general, it always amazes me just how deep the creator and artists are willing to go with it, because it takes, like, each one of them I feel like takes such a widely different direction a lot of times, whether it be more cosmic horror elements or like survival horror, or just like body horror. That's the big one, is body horror I usually expect. But I don't know, it's always fun to see people like just do more with what they're given, you know, like they have a universe and then they just do a little twist on it and just fly away and take off from there and soar like an eagle, I guess is the way I could put it. But as always, guys, thank you so much for sticking with me to the end. Your support always means the world. And just in case I don't see you, stay safe. And wait, I'm joking, don't leave yet! I took the liberty of embedding a couple of my lesser known videos at the end of this one in hopes that some of you might want to see more of me and, you know, maybe help a brother out, you know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna need you to do me a big favor and click on one of these videos and watch them. Yep, right now. I'm waiting. Oh, you don't want to watch it? Well, okay. Put it on in the background. Yep, let it be background noise. Bake your cookies, I don't care what you do, I really don't give a damn. Watch it. Yeah, you have to watch it right now. Look, I'm not going to tell you what happens if you don't watch it, but you may or may not like it if you don't. You know, I'm not going to go into detail, but, you know.